Once again, let us come back to our practices, the practices that no doubt each of us have by way of those daily routines of sadhana, but by way of having time, making time, honoring time to intensify, to deepen, to nurture another part of our spiritual life that we have always hoped for the opportunity to address. In addition to our daily meditation for spiritual renewal, for that rejuvenation of the spirit by way of our own mantras, also knowing yourself to be not the meditator, but the very way in which meditation can flow. A flow that actually is arising from the samasti citta, from the universal mind field, where those saintly minds, the masters in their bodiless forms, remain as mind, and thereby extending their blessing, honoring that role that they continue playing in blessing humanity, and thus bringing grace forward for us by way of our meditations to receive. Along with the personal mantra, we have our community mantra, the Saumya mantra. And it's not a coincidence that the Saumya mantra was introduced a year ago. For when we look at when such collective mantras are brought forward to our awareness, we find that they are preparations for that inner strength. Swami Veda brought the first recognition of the Saumya mantra to the community back at the turn of the millennium. Only then did he address what this pacification of the mind field on a universal scale would mean and would be necessary. And he gave such a beautiful address, the perennial in the millennium, meaning how to envision the future. Because it was only within a number of months later that the United States experienced the trauma of that terrorist act that brought an entire change of consciousness through the community of the U.S. citizens. But it actually affected the entire globe. And it actually gave us, at that time, a mirror to look at ourselves. Yet, how we acted and reacted has continued some theme in our humanity of fear and protection and securing our small little concept of self. He recognized that this was coming. He asked us to begin the Saumya, and we continued that for this period of time, plus an entire 3-year segment. And now, in that mantra coming back to us a year ago, we too are preparing and has actually prepared the groundwork for what is now happening. And has once again shown us that we must think of the future in a positive way, in a vision that will create the themes of this perennial in the millennium that we once again will come back to and reread and contemplate on and secure in our mind very clearly a vision for our future. And it is not imaginary, it is not fantasy, it is the reality of that first yuga, that first way in which humanity has a collective, harmonious minefield of the saintly. This is how they lived. And this is how a segment of that consciousness has continued to mature and manifest in each of the many yugas that have continued from that point. So whether we simply say, oh, this is the Kali Yuga, and again we simply blame our own ignorance, our own pains and sufferings on something that is outside of us. We have the opportunity to go inside. We have the opportunity to envision the prominence of that perennial that remains and thereby create the future that we wish for. Swami Rama reminds us that we are the writers of our own manuscript, day by day, in this lifetime for our next lifetime. So how will we compose this life and write the book of life that will then be a chapter for the next manifestation of this Jiva Atman?